Wow, a video certain to stir up controversy just a day after the last one. Who is locked in for this? This is something I realized a long time ago, and it is definitely something. It's definitely something. Now, I know there are a lot of die-hard Fizz x Ozzy fans, and I'm completely fine with that. I just want to bring this up because I feel like no one has noticed it yet. We saw Fizz as a teenager or a child next to Mammon, who by that time was an adult. So we know either way that the aging doesn't, it aligns the same way. You could use the excuse that they're demons, so obviously they might age differently, but they don't. They do not. The imps do not. Charlie is like 120 something, but mentally she's in her mid to late 20s. I can understand that specifically because she's like, I don't know, angel, kind of, I don't know. But that makes sense. I can get on board with that because mentally she probably ages slower. That makes sense. But imps have this around the same age range as a human does. Sure, they're obviously two very different species, yes, but they're the most comparable to humans as it gets when it comes to hell hierarchy. Now, Fizz and Ozzy have a very, very big and unspoken age gap, and I first realized this when the Mammon episode came out, and we saw Fizz, a child, basically, or a teenager, going to a concert where Mammon is obviously an adult, a figure, an idol of his. Later in the episode, Ozzy says that he's known Mammon since the start of Hell, meaning they're the same age, or like around it, or whether or not they're the same age. They started Hell and knew each other then. So that means, at the very least, Oz is either older or younger or the same age as Mammon, but whatever it was, they knew each other since the start of Hell. And we can assume that is a very, very long time. So assuming that they age similar or the exact same to humans, either way, Oz is much, 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 much older than Fizz. Way older than Charlie is. So it's not even comparable at that point, because for all we know, he could be millions of years old. It's not confirmed how or when Hell was formed in this universe, but it is definitely way longer than Fizz has been alive. And he's, what, in his, 20s, 30s, something? He's around Blitz's age, and Blitz is in his 30s. So to compare the two between Vaggie and Charlie, which I can definitely know people might, it's not a good comparison because, one, we don't know how old Vaggie is, but let's just assume she's somewhere in her 20s, or mentally whatever. Charlie is mentally 27, I believe 27, I actually don't know what age specifically, I know mid to late 20s, but they make sense because she did age slower, we know that, but the two, Fizz and Ozzy, we know for a fact that he is a lot older than Charlie. So even if he was, let's say, mentally 30s, which is not possible because that would be very slow aging, way too slow. He would have been basically a baby by the time Hell started, which isn't true. It was still much longer. And even if they are mentally the same age, let's say they are mentally the same age, Oz has been alive much longer than Fizz, and even though he might mentally be one age, he's still lived longer. He has still experienced more years, and maybe he's mentally the same age as Fizz, but he has experienced more years than he has. And before anyone says they're two consenting adults, yes, they are two consenting adults, but we can't just ignore this. We can't just, throw it to the back burner. It's weird. It's weird at the very least. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. And they're the healthiest couple in the show, and I do love them, but I can't just get over the fact that their age gap is violent. I can only assume how long he's been alive and how old Oz is mentally. But at the very least, we know it is much older than Fizz. We know that he was at the very least an adult when Hell started. So years and years and years, and we don't know how many, but definitely thousands of years. Then Fizz came along, and they didn't meet until they were adults, I'm certain. I really hope so, I believe, because Mammon, like, got together with Fizz, not like actually, but like business partners, sort of, when he was an adult, and then he met Oz through Mammon. So, yes, they are both adults at the same time, yes, but Oz has been an adult for way longer. And again, let's say he is mentally the same age as Fizz. He has still experienced more. He's experienced more. Therefore, being more experienced, not to quote Star Wars, but experience outranks everything. I'm sorry, Rex. I love you, but I'm sorry, but experience outranks everything. And you know what? This actually applies to the clones and the Clone Wars, too. I am so sorry to bring Star Wars into this, but I am going to. In the Clone Wars, the clones age twice as fast. Rex is, like, he's lived 12 years, but he is 24 years old, basically, in his 20s. Ignore the horrible animation in that era. But he is mid to late 20s, but he has been alive for 12 years. He has more experience than Ahsoka, who is 14 years old at the beginning of the Clone Wars, and she may be 2 years older than him technically, but he is mentally older and more mature than her, and not just because he's genuinely actually older than her, but also because he's experienced more. Experience outranks everything. Anyways, I don't really know where I stand with this. I don't know what to think about it. It's just something I wanted to point out. I don't know how this makes me feel about their ship, how it changes anything. I don't really know what to think. I don't want to think about it. I want to push it to the back burner. I don't know what to say. Honestly, I genuinely do want to hear your thoughts in the comments. I don't know what to say. Anyways, that's that. Anyways, love you guys!